Remember our last video? Japan kept its interest rate negative to very low, so people on Wall Street could borrow cheap money from Japan and buy US stocks and real estate. But that has changed. Now, Japan raised interest rates and stopped printing money. So where do investors go next? Meet Switzerland? Its interest rate is now at 0%, lower than Japan's and super attractive for borrowers. Switzerland is becoming the special brother to the US, just like Japan once was. Why? It has 1/4 of the world's private wealth under its care. Super rich people trust Swiss banks, known for privacy, stability, and safety. So Wall Street and global investors now have a new cheap money option. Borrow from Switzerland at 0% and use the cash to buy assets, or even pump up bubbles again. The Swiss National Bank SNB reported strong credit growth in Q1 2025. Loans and financing have increased sharply. In June 2025, the SNB cut rates further to 0% and might go even negative soon. That's a powerful shift. The world just found a new 0% funding center. Since 2023, the US Federal Reserve raised interest rates to fight inflation. Many investors borrowed dollars and bought us stocks. But now, the US dollar has dropped about 12%. What happens? People holding us stocks stay invested, waiting for the dollar to recover. So, their money is now trapped in the US. International investors can't easily move it abroad, or they lose on currency exchange. So paradoxically, investors are stuck in the US stock market and other assets, waiting for a better exchange rate. So, I'm expecting borrowing costs globally to stay low, as Switzerland supplies new cheap money to create another bubble. And what happens when money is cheap? People start borrowing like crazy. Some of that money will go into buying US Treasury bonds, and some will flow into stablecoins. Yes, stablecoins. Digital dollars that live on the blockchain. Let me explain in super simple terms. Imagine this: a company issues stablecoins. To make those stablecoins stable, they buy short-term US government bonds, T-bills. So now, the whole world is buying us debt without even realizing it. Why? Because when you buy a stablecoin, you're helping that company hold even more US bonds. That means, if the US government wants people to buy its debt, it can just turn that debt into stablecoins and sell it to the world like digital cash. It's genius. But bankers hate this. Only governments control their own money. But now, private companies are printing digital dollars, backed by US debt and dollars. And these digital dollars are being used for payments, saving, and investing. A man once said, "If you let me control a nation's money, I care not who makes the laws or who is president, because whoever prints the money controls the country." So if stablecoin companies are holding the US debt and issuing their own dollars, who's really in charge? The US government? Or the money printers held by the governments? What happens when a government prints money? Most people think it's harmless. But actually, it's one of the sneakiest ways a government can take your money. When they print more money, the prices of everything start to go up. That's inflation. But your salary? It doesn't always go up as fast. So guess what? You now have to work harder, just to afford the same food, rent, or gas you bought last year. Some governments don't give pensions or any social security. You don't get to retire? So people are forced to keep working hard, and the economy keeps growing. Sounds harsh, right? But strangely, it boosts the economy. Because when people hustle harder, companies grow bigger, and the country looks richer. Sad but true. So, why print money at all? Because whoever controls the printing press controls almost everything. Inflation, employment, asset prices, even how much the government can spend on weapons and war. One moment, they're injecting trillions into the system. The next moment, they're raising interest rates and draining it all back. There's an organization. Let's just say a very powerful one. They can print money, raise or lower interest rates, and decide how rich or poor people feel. And even the President of the United States can't stop them. Yes, not even the President can control them. So, what now? Some say the President should take back control of money printing. Because let's be honest, if you don't control your own money, do you really control your own country? This is why the stablecoin was born. Some governments are taking back the money printer. But here's the dangerous part. People start choosing stablecoins over their own country's money. Let's talk about Nigeria. In just 2 months after stablecoins became popular, Nigeria's national currency was basically gone. How did it happen? First, the government removed fuel subsidies. That tiny move made gas prices jump, and suddenly, everything else got more expensive. Then, investors and traders shorted Nigeria's currency, meaning they bet against it. Ordinary people panicked. They started selling off their Nigerian naira and rushed to buy US dollars and stablecoins like USDT and USDC. Nigeria's currency collapsed. The Nigerian central bank had around $30 billion USD in reserve. They used it to buy back their own currency, trying to support the exchange rate. But it didn't work. The Nigerian central bank ran out of US dollars. So, no more US dollars for ordinary people. Also, the Nigerian government tried something desperate. Ban stablecoins. But you know what happened? Nigeria became one of the top countries in the world using stablecoins, because the Nigerian government couldn't stop it. You can ban a shop. You can block a website. But you can't ban code. When people use stablecoins instead of their national currency, they're not just changing money. They're giving up their country's power. The right to issue money is like a country's heartbeat. Stablecoins are deeply embedded in the financial lives of people in Argentina, Brazil, Venezuela, Nigeria, and across Sub-Saharan Africa, often making up 30 to 90% of crypto activity. While precise numbers are missing for the UAE, Philippines, and Iran, the general trend is clear. In countries facing inflation or weak currency, stablecoins become a major financial tool. In countries where local currencies lose value, citizens turn to USD-backed stablecoins, shifting their tax base and monetary control toward the US. Because taxes are collected in local currency, when stablecoins take over, governments collect less tax. The economy still runs, but it's now running on US digital dollars, not the country's own money. So what happens? All that money power shifts to the US. The government that controls the dollar controls the system. And the country that loses its currency loses control. In a way, these countries are becoming the little brothers of America. Because they gave up their money power without even going to war or signing a treaty. It's quiet. It's invisible. But it's real. Stablecoins make everyday life easier, yes. But at the same time, they transfer financial power to whoever controls the stablecoin. What happens when your country no longer controls its own money? Across many countries, more and more people are using stablecoins, digital dollars tied to the US dollar. They're fast, cheap, and easy. You don't need a bank. You don't even need your local currency. But here's the dark side. When people stop using their own country's money, their government loses control over how much money is in circulation, how much tax they can collect, the power to support their own banks, the ability to stop a financial crisis. If the US increases the supply of stablecoins, asset prices will drop in your country. If they reduce stablecoins, asset prices rise and people can't afford anything. In short, America controls your economy. No matter what interest rate your central bank sets, it doesn't matter anymore. Because the real control is outside your country, in the hands of whoever controls the digital dollars. When people pull their savings out of banks and swap them for stablecoins, local banks become weak. When that happens, governments can't lend, can't fund, and eventually, can't print money anymore. This is a new kind of war. A currency war. Some say, this is World War III, but with no bombs, only money. And what can an ordinary citizen do? Honestly, not much. Because this shift is global. It's already happening in Africa, South America, Asia, and the Middle East. Now, look at the UK. The British government is struggling to respond. Banks are at risk. People are starting to use stablecoins quietly. And soon, Britain could become just another colony of digital dollars. A quiet little brother of America. Because once your country gets used to US stablecoins, and once your national banks lose their deposits, and once your government can no longer collect enough taxes or print money, then your country is no longer truly free. It's financially owned by whoever prints the stablecoin. The European Central Bank ECB is planning a digital euro. It's still in testing. They want it to be safe, easy to use, and controlled by European laws. China has already launched its digital currency, the eCNY or digital yuan. It's used in some cities. You can buy coffee or groceries with it through an app. But the digital yuan is not popular internationally. Most people outside China don't use it. The reality is, Europe is too slow, China is too strict, and the US stablecoins are already winning. Today, people in 30 to 40 countries are using US stablecoins more than their own money. And that means the US controls the global digital economy. So unless Europe and China move faster and smarter, they may both become just supporting players in America's digital money empire. This is not just a race about tech. It's a race for financial control of the world. And it's already happening. As an ordinary person, I've been watching Circle, Coinbase, and PayPal.
Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Share it, because some stories are meant to be discovered together. And stay curious. I'll see you in the next chapter.